Question from Irene. Raph, we get a lot of Baume Mercier. What do you think of the watches in terms of value and content?
Value, they're definitely there. I mean, if you're looking for value, one of the first brands you want to look at is Baume Mercier. Certainly depends on your budget, but I would say probably around the 1,000 to 2,000 is a good space to place them in. But yeah, I believe you get a lot of quality for your money there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get great quality because even in the cases where you're getting ETA movements, you're getting real ETA movements. They're not shipping you Solitas. Richemont Group has a pretty good relationship with Swatch ETA. If you want a solid chronograph that's just a can't-miss buy, a pre-owned Baume Mercier Clifton chronograph, cannot miss. They have some complications. You're going to get soaked if you buy them new. You know, buying a complex calendar Baume Mercier in a precious metal case is looking for trouble if you pay retail. But pre-owned, what a bargain. And just honest watches, high quality. I actually met Pete Brock at their display at SIHH this year.
Very cool.
Designer of the Cobra Daytona Coupe. He's designed a line of Clifton watches for them. I think they're really nice, and I think they offer honest value for the money, which is a rarity in the modern watch industry.
Definitely.
Question coming from Ramones. Ramones F2. How truthful do you think the 800 to 900 pieces per year that Journe claims to release is? The number of boutiques alone that they have makes it seem like 800 to 900 is not realistic or sustainable. I'm going to let you in on a little secret about FP Journe boutiques and espaces locations. Most of the watches you see in the cases are mock-ups, models, and dummies.
Wow.
He doesn't have enough to fully furnish the boutiques. So I think the 800 to 900 is very honest, and that's borne out, Raph, by the strong resale values we see for them.
Very strong. And I mean, I guess if you think about it, how many pieces are your low-end Journe is, we've mentioned before, is the Chronomet Blue. And it's starting at, what's the retail on a Chronomet?
Originally I think it was about 18,000. Right now it's been undercut by the Elegant 48. That's a quartz watch, so completely different game. But I feel that based on the simple fact that most of the watches you're seeing in the cases at Journe boutiques are plastic or, you know, empty metal shells, the 800 to 900 number is very credible, and that's borne out by the resale value. On the secondary market, Journe is very strong, and I think if they were shipping an extra 100, 200, 300 watches out the door, not only would the resale be a lot weaker, but their auction results would be a lot less robust.
I think it's also in comparison to the lower end brands. Even a Rolex is a lot easier to find somebody who will walk into an AD and buy an 8,000 ticket price watch as opposed to a 20, you know, sort of thing.
And the other thing to remember with Journe is that when he adds a new model, he cuts down on production of previous. True. So even though that Elegant 48 is going to be a lower volume, kind of niche watch, nevertheless, you're going to see less of something. Either less of the Chronomet Blue or less of the Chronomet Souverain, less of the Octas. Something gives every time he adds a model, with the result that production stays static, and it's defined by the number of watches he can personally inspect before they ship. Obviously, he has 30 watchmakers on staff. He doesn't build all the watches himself anymore, but what he does do is he evaluates them aesthetically, functionally, signs off before they ship, and he says 900 is the most he can do.
Wow, and that's quite a busy business here, huh?
That's a fact, and I think ultimately you'll never see more than 1,000 from FP Journe, and that's only if he makes the time in his schedule. So I want to move on to the other questions we've got. Matt Foster, Tim, what's your view on Breguet and the new Type 21? Okay, Ralph, what's your opinion on Breguet? Because you've seen every Breguet we've brought in for the last year.
Honestly, I like Breguet. Again, not very varied in the models that I've seen, but the Type 21s, Type 22s, they have very particular styling. It's very Breguet.
Yeah,
but it's very. I like them. I gotta say, I could definitely see myself with a Type 21 on my wrist.
I want to just give a shout out to the two different types of Breguet that are out there.
Yep.
There's La Tradition, and then there's everything else. So everything else includes your Classique Chronometrie with the high frequency escapement that won the GPHG Aiguille d'Or a few years ago. It includes the Marine family of sports watches. For the aquatic types. It includes the pilot's watches, the Type 20, 21, 22, and then there's La Tradition. Everything since the great 7027 to 2005 that really gave Breguet an identity in the modern era. I think if you were to pick one watch to define the brand, these days it would be La Tradition, not the Type 21, not the Type 20, as important as those are historically.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're robust watches in the hands.
They definitely are.
The Type 21 flyback chronograph, very robust. It's definitely finished better than the historic Type 20s. The thing to note about Breguet's pilot's watches during the 20th century is they were generally built in a workmanlike fashion for a military contract. What we associate with Breguet today, the exceptional finish, the high stature, the price, that's not always been the case with the Type 21. I feel like with the Type 21, although it has been refined, movement, case, and dial, you're buying a watch that is sort of a legacy piece. The degree of mechanical complication, finish, and I think the high horology chops of the watch are an echelon below the watches that have been purpose-built for the brand since the Swatch takeover. And La Tradition is emblematic of that. So I like the Type 21. I think it's a better buy pre-owned because to me, it's no longer the heart and soul of the Breguet brand, and people look for the more, shall we say, Baroque models today when they look to buy Breguet.